Okay, it's recording. Whew. It was a little bit weird. I'm on the newest version of OBS, which at this point is 28.0.2, and it just didn't hook into Viscera Clean Detail correctly, and yeah. Anyway, get this going. There we go. Yeah, so Prey ended in an odd number, so I need to do that. Section 8. Can you believe there's only 2 more levels after this? Only 2 more maps after this? Should not have... Oh no, this is good. I'm actually starting to spot. Wow, that did not work. Yeah, so this is September 29th. This video will not go live until December 1st, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I need something to do. And I have things I can do, I just don't feel like doing them. So I feel like doing it. Yeah, I got lucky with Prey, with how long that took, so that I have so much time before I need to do stuff. But yeah, I'm not in the best of mood. We'll see how that impacts me or not. Just the fact that I'm on the mic though might level me out some. Yeah. And for anyone wondering, not that anyone so care. The reason I'm not in so great a mood is, for me, kind of the normal stuff. I really need to find where the thing is. The furnace, find that. Just like realization stuff that I may mention this in Prey. Oh, that I graduated in 2011, and since then I've basically still been unemployed or underemployed the entire time. The simplest way to describe underemployment, for those who may not know, and this isn't the only way to describe it, would be, but this is more like the clinical way that department and such would, like governmental departments would describe it, those who are only in part-time work but seeking full-time. It's a very crude way of putting it. But it can also be, like in my case right now, more of a seeking, like, technically I'm a contractor, and it's like, yeah, and because of that I went from 5 days a week in a normal full 40-hour work week down to just 2 days because my services are not so needed anymore. They are still needed, but not as much. And to be fair, it's a software development company. I know that that's how it works, so. But it's still, just the whole kind of hitting me more again. That, yeah, I'm still, like, not really somebody with a job. Well, not a real job. It doesn't help that, last week, I applied for a job that, I did not. That I can see how some people might be like, on paper I'm not that good, but it's like, well, yeah, but you're also only looking for, like, specific academic degrees in that case. If you actually look at what I've done with my time, I'm obviously qualified, and enthusiastic, but still got rejected for the job. And just, yeah, technical writer position. And no, legitimately, I would probably have begged it for that job, because technical writing is something I've been doing, of my own accord for quite a while, and also the company that it would have been for, it's like, yeah, I found mistakes in your documentation. It's like, I'm already doing a better job than somebody that you did hire to do this. And it was the kind of, what I found was the kind of mistake that actually should never happen. Like, they should be embarrassed by that one. It is obvious. Yeah, so it's just, I'm in a bad mood from that. And there's also an amount of how frustrating it is that, looking for something else that, would be like an actual career type job that isn't they may decide that, yeah, we need to cut your hours because it's just how it is. At the moment, my understanding or not. And just not seeing things. Which there's so many factors that go into that do screw you over, really. Because like, one thing is, you are your harshest critic kind of thing. So, like, going through lists, and it's like, yeah, I can't do that, 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 I can't do that. And sometimes it's like, well, I'm not looking for that kind of job. It's great, okay. Like, yeah, sure, there's cashier jobs and such, but it's like, I'm a guy that can write books, news, reviews, documentation, curricula. I've written some advanced applets, and so I've done a lot of stuff. So it's kind of silly, the idea that you put me behind a register. And it's like, I'm not going to apply for that. I'm qualified for many other positions at many other places, so I'll look there. But there's also that element of not knowing what. I mean, it's also kind of like how, like I mentioned, write books. Well, I self-publish. One of the reasons I do that is because I had no idea where I'd even go to if I wanted to not be self-published. It's like, I don't know publishers that I could go to. I also don't know agents, although I think there are some in the area. So yeah, I'm just I'm in a really lousy. Well, I've always been. My life is miserable. Has been for a very long time. So yeah, and it's just one of those. It's hitting me, and it's probably gonna keep hitting me for a while yet. But I have to just shut up and deal with it kind of stuff because it ain't changing. I mean, it isn't. There's nothing I can do to change it. I mean, what would help is getting a job. Okay, I can't employ myself. I don't have the money for that. I mean, it's like, I can't just, get a job. I need somebody to actually, give a damn and learn how to read a cover letter and appreciate the fact that it's obviously a freshly written, unique cover letter for you. Not just, some generic thing that you were sent, but learn to read through a resume and see that, oh, wow, this guy literally has experience with every qualification we're looking for. Maybe we should talk to him, as opposed to the normal for me, which is, to not ever hear back. Yeah. somehow that's the norm. So one thing I do want to mention, because I looked up a little bit on this level, it said that, well, and also the game tells you only 45 minutes. It's going to be a little bit awkward since I try to do half hour long. Oh, that's... I lost my train of thought. That was some of what I was going to say. That happens. A lot. Oh, yeah. Just the whole, at least with this latest place, they did tell me now. Some places don't tell you. And this is probably the reason I got distracted, because I started thinking about how, I have this screenshot of my email where I'm certain I've talked about this already, but it's still just so stupid and insulting that it's like, yeah, I'm not forgetting this one. Okay. Well, that. That's very weak. But just one place I applied for a job, never heard anything back until 7 months later. And, they were talking about in the email about how that they have a core principle of responsible. Not responsibility, but responsible. So they can't even write properly. And for that reason, that they wanted to close the loop on my application. It's like, this is 7 months later. It's actually more insulting and degrading to me that you're now sending me anything. Because, like, I already accepted you just don't care about applicants and you didn't respond. But now it's like, oh yeah, now we're thinking about you 7 months later. It's like, seriously? I moved on. Why did you not? I actually need to take I took a new screenshot of that. Because the original one that I had, I realized that I don't have the email that I took it the day the email came. So it only had the date. Sorry, not the date. It only had the time on there. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna grab a new one now, since it'll also show the date, so you can see. Yeah, 7 months. It's still not the worst experience I've had with, which is also really sad. Yeah. That does just kind of kill that conversation. But it is also true. I have had worse experience. But yeah, so, still trying to find stuff. And hey, who knows? This is so many months away when this video's coming out. Maybe I'll actually have found something. I doubt it. In case anyone was wondering, because you mentioned the whole, the documentation being wrong. There we go. Hey, it's it was documentation basically on how you're supposed to use a group of functions. And, well, these functions have arguments, or parameters. I just go with arguments. I actually looked it up. There is a difference. There is a difference there, and it's like, huh. Yeah, I'm just going to ignore that. And keep calling them arguments, because contextually, there's no reason to use argument and parameter, and argument is my preference. Well, like many functions, you do have names for these things. Sorry, I just realized I should really look at the oximeter to make sure it's still recording properly. Sometimes it doesn't. Stop. And it had one of the argument names was ID. And in examples, it was using an object named ID, as like the variable for what you're putting in there, right? So, it's like, the function has an argument named x, and when you call the function, you're giving it an object named x, a variable named x, so it looks at that value. Something like that. The only problem is that this function actually has two arguments, and they are x and y. And if you know how functions work, the order does matter. Okay, you can use the names to specify which is which, but order does matter if you're not doing that. So x and y. Well, what they did in their documentation where they're showing the example is I'm sorry, it is like, wow, this is stupid and embarrassing. They were giving for argument x an object named y. Yeah. Think about that. And I realized this is like, that's not right. That doesn't make sense. So you try going between like the function-specific documentation and then the article describing how to use the thing. And if you're reading it and assuming that, well, they know what they're doing, you'd be like, wait. You'd be looking up this y object as, okay, what is y in how does that make sense? How does any of this relate? It took me so long before I finally realized, oh, I should not assume they have any idea what they're doing. Yeah. I'm adjusting my headphones down. There's one nice thing about processing the audio. Don't have to waste much better. Yeah, so I'm gonna do. It is what it is. At times, I do kind of also feel that, that if a company were entirely competent, well, they might not actually have a place for me then, but they'd also probably, actually hire me. I know, maybe that's not the best view that, the best view to take that part of the reason a company will hire me because they themselves are incompetent, but it's also, like, I've had the experience of, I can go down the list of the qualifications they provide, and it's, okay, that one I can do here, that one I can do, that one I can do, that one I can do, that one I can do here, and oh, you ran out. And I won't even get an interview. I mean, it's like, yeah, sorry, my experience does kind of include that I'm going to be rejected by people that apparently don't know what they're even looking for because I have everything they say they're looking for. Though, with that bad documentation, I had a problem that technically the thing that it was describing there, from what I can tell, would basically say, yes, you are not able to do that. I figured out how to do it. I think I broke something, though, where it's like, you're not supposed to be able to do it that way. Well, that's how it works, so I'm doing it, and it works perfectly for what I need. And it's also funny, because even though the rejection email did say, we'll keep your information on file, it's like, they also have a future considerations application. Some companies do this, where you can just be like, hey, I don't see anything right now that looks like it would be good for me, but here's my information, so you can, if you think of something in the future or whatever, it's like you can reach out to me. To basically starting that conversation, that relationship early. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do that because I don't. Well, as I said earlier, I do specifically write cover letters, and it's like, well, the cover letter I gave them for would have been specifically for that technical writing. So I can give them something a little bit more general. And also, I just gave them the master copy of my resume. Meaning, it has everything in there. So like a list of all of the, all these videos I have done. Which is not something I usually include. It depends. Okay. I mean, totally irrelevant to them, but it's like, you know what? I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna share it because, say, hey, consider me. It's, give them everything. By the way, yes, there's that stuff up there, but there's also, I saw, see the manhole cover? There's a body behind it. So that's gonna be fun. More. Well, no, there are more, I'm just, like, not sure where. Yeah. That's got it. This is undoubted. Normally I would say do the crate stuff later, but, I want to clear it out. I want to get stuff out. One thing I can say, I normally do talk about tech stuff. So, from my perspective, Ryzen 7000 series just released, and Intel just announced their 13th gen stuff, the Raptor, which independent reviews will be interesting because Raptor Lake does not look as impressive as I think it truly needs to be, but it's also a... Okay, yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Zen 4, Ryzen 7000 does look to be a legitimately, architectural step up. Raptor Lake does not. It looks much more incremental. Alder Lake was more the actual leap. But there is the catch with Alder Lake that it also was very new and still has teething. Raptor Lake, I'm sure, addresses some, but I don't know how many. And that's only something that independent reviews have been out by now. By the time this video goes live, it will have settled. But it does just make me wonder what we may see in the future. And by that I mean, it's like, yes, AMD is now really pushing power to get better performance, but it's also, they have achieved, like some of the reviews for the 7000 series are showing that it's like, yeah, we can, run in eco mode, cut the TDP down from, like, 170 down to 105, and we're still beating out in the 12900K in Cinebench. Which is true, Cinebench is only one thing, but it still is. It's like, yeah, we're also the performance at the lower end of power is still so insanely good that it's like, yeah, I don't think Intel's in as good a position as they want. But depending, I could see Raptor Lake being a good sign of the future. It's just like maybe just like one more. What is the next one after? I don't know, but they do need to nail down their efficiency, because it's kind of insane how, like, yes, they're able to claim that, hey, we can have so much more, we can be so much faster. It's like, yeah, but you're also like needing a lot more power and running hotter. And it's like the 12900K. I saw one person talk about how, okay, so the Ryzen 7000 series, it's designed to basically go to 95C and stay there on one measurement. I think it's the junction tech. But the thing is, it's designed for that. It's doing that is it doing what it's supposed to do. But with the 12900, so reviews that pay attention to the temperature would go to that, and it would be fine. It would just, sit there, and I did see one, I think it was the J's 2 cents video, where it's like, yeah, and once we stop the test, what happens? The temperatures very rapidly plummet, which is something I've seen, and it is in some of my thermal testing. Not that I have it, I just mean in general, I have seen behavior like this, and what he said is, or what's going on there is something that I've seen is like, that's a good thing to see, because what that means is, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, it's falling rapidly actually kind of tells you that the thermal issue there is not the temperature, it's the movement of it. And you can push things a bit further. You're not at a limit. So it's like if you don't have thermal saturation of the cooler at that point. So unfortunately, that does also mean a better cooler isn't necessarily going to help you. But it's like, that the behavior there is fine. There's no problem. And also, it's been known by many that, yeah, it goes to 95C, but it's not throttling. That's just where it's set. Whereas the 12900K would go up to, like, 95C, and it is throttling. So, yeah. And don't know if that's something that they have changed for Raptor, that behavior. And it is just yeah, and they may still have the advantage here. Unfortunately, their pricing could be more aggressive, but it'll be interesting to see what they do next. Because Game 5 is a new platform, though it's kind of funny, I've not seen or heard anything about teething capacity. Well, no, except for one. When you first boot up the system, mechanically it will take a lot of time to do the memory training. And any time that is reset, it's going to take a long time. And for those who don't know, with memory training, when your system boots up, it runs tests on the memory. And traditionally, what would happen is it would just be like, hey, does it run? Yep, okay, we're good. But it can also, and mainly this is what 7000 does, is it's working through various settings, various timings. It's basically taking over some of the overclocking you can do with memory, taking that over for you, so you don't need to. But that does take it. So yeah, that could be a teething issue. They can figure out how to speed that up, that would be good, but it's also not something that many people can have an issue. It's like, yes, the first time they do is going to be annoying, but after that, you might not encounter it. So it will be interesting to see what comes after the next gen. Should be either Probably Zen 5. I don't know if they plan on any incremental. But Zen 5, they have also been saying, is going to be a significant, is a new design. Like Zen 2 and Zen 3, you could say, well, no, even those got actually designed. Maybe it hasn't really done incremental since Zen Plus. The time is about to stop, so I can figure that out. Yeah. So, but Raptor Lake is incremental, so it's a very interesting time, and it is certainly, there's competition. There's competition on the CPU front. Unfortunately, the competition isn't leading to a race to the bottom for pricing. Not yet, at least. And hey, hopefully they will do that stuff with the AMD and NVIDIA with the GPUs, because that needs it. That probably needs it more than the CPU. Because we're at a time where there's such a push for higher performance with GPUs, like with things like ray tracing, and getting more performance out of your GPUs with things like the very super resolution, that it is a major problem that you have cards that should be the $100, $200 cards, $250 at the most, starting at $300. I mean, that is a problem. Like, we haven't had a true successor to the RX 580, to the GTX 1060. We haven't had true successors to them. And it's been a long time. That's a problem. And by true successor, I mean solid performance in their class. Longevity, which actually the 1060 has now faltered, it seems. The 580, though, is still going because it's got the 8 gig of memory. Although the 1060 6 gig would still be good. But it's just one of those. Polaris was a better, more forward-looking architecture. So, yeah. But, I mean, those were, the 100 to 200, 250 on the top side of it cards. But today, the GPUs in that price range are like we need graphics kind of card. Looks like the X700 did die. And I only just, I'm just going to leave it. If I started now, then I have to worry about editing the data more than I really care to. But I'm going to have to change out batteries, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. That's where we need it more. That's where we need it more, so the race to the bottom. And it's fine to have the Halo cards, the $1,500, $2,000 cards. It's fine to have those, but you also need to have the $150, the $100 to $250 cards that kick ass. I mean, they're still good, like very solid 1080p class cards. And then in the $300 to $500 range, more so the 1440p, and then like 600 and above should be the 4K card. But instead, we're seeing GPUs where it's like, yeah, $500 for, like $600 for the 1440p cards, and the 1080p stuff is still like either $400 to be akin to the RX 580 or 1060, like that class, that kind of solid performance, or you don't have an iGPU kind of thing. You don't have an integrated GPU, so that's 100, 150, 200. It's like, we need the stuff. Alright, so I'm going to stop. I'm also going to get new batteries. The thing went through most of Prey, and Prey was fairly long, so I'm not surprised that the batteries. I was actually surprised I made it through all of Prey without needing to change out the battery. Alright, see you next time.